Why have another YouTube channel? Well, the world is sick, and like leech therapy of the past, today's remedies do not heal, but instead drain its patient of vitality, leaving it weaker and feeble-minded. Society is convulsing with discord, futility, and polarization. That is why I launched this YouTube channel. There is a remedy, but it is largely being ignored, and I hope to help change that. I am Grant Hallstrom on behalf of the Human Quest for Meaning. National politics and geopolitical conflict dominate public discourse, but politics always follows culture. The whitecaps on the turbulent sea of political discord are insignificant in comparison to the currents underneath that drive the course of history. I'm not saying that political issues do not matter. I have donated for me, which was a large amount of money, to both local as well as national campaigns. On several occasions, I canvassed our neighborhood to support local candidates and state propositions. I even traveled to a neighboring swing state, Nevada, and canvassed neighborhoods there on a few occasions during a presidential campaign. And on Election Day, I returned to help get out the vote. So I do believe in being politically involved. But I know that political issues are downstream from culture. And religious and philosophical ideas informs culture. In order to change the world, people first need to change how they see the world. A cultural war is the real struggle consuming society today. And that war is a battle of ideas. At its core, the discord we hear all around us is the noise from the clash of worldviews. See, humans have an innate need to make sense out of their world. So we all learn or create some grand narrative to help bring some semblance of order to the chaos that's around us. Philosophers refer to this as a meta-narrative. Each culture traditionally gravitates to some meta-narrative to answer life's big questions and to provide meaning and purpose in people's lives. In the 5th century, Western Europe adopted Augustine's sin paradigm, which views humans as fallen creatures doomed to suffer in hell for eternity, except for those few individuals God had elected to save through his grace, which was accessed through the church's sacraments. Later, philosophers in the medieval church merged this religious paradigm with Aristotle's geocentric cosmos, which consisted of a harmonious, interlocking system involving the universe, physics, biology, ethics, and the purpose of life. It was a beautiful, orderly paradigm which circumscribed everything into a nice, rational system. Then, in the 16th century, the Protestant Reformation challenged the viability of the Church's exclusive claim to God's grace, and on its claim that grace was only available through its sacraments. Pandora's box was opened, creating a crisis of authority. No longer did the church control an individual's fate. Rationality became the new meta-narrative. Everything was brought before the bar of personal reason to be judged, fracturing Christendom into a multitude of competing religions and kingdoms. With this rational view of the universe, new ideas exploded on the scene, leading to the scientific revolution and to the Enlightenment, with its concepts of universal human rights and democratic ideals. Inventions, trade, and free enterprise created economic prosperity and increased mobility of people and ideas. This dynamic world led to an optimistic view of the future. Humans were the masters of their own fate. But there were cracks all along the way. This increased mobility and pursuit of material things shattered communities and uprooted the communal religious anchor holding them fast, and this led to an epidemic of loneliness and despair. Miners and factory workers were overlooked and abused during the Industrial Revolution. Race disenfranchised others. Pollution damaged personal health and the environment. Then the sinking of the Titanic sent shockwaves through society. Man was not invincible. Marx flipped modernity's endless pursuit of material benefits on its head. It was not the means to produce the ideal society, but it was the cause of suffering and injustice. But communism's experiment produced massive suffering, oppression, and slaughter wherever it was tried. Yet, ironically, many intellectuals still champion this meta-narrative because they refuse to consider any worldview that incorporates a spiritual component. The horror and senseless slaughter of World War I disillusioned a generation. World War II, the Holocaust, the nuclear Cold War, basically disenchanted even more people, leading some intellectuals to question the basic assumptions of modernity. They articulated new postmodern ways of looking at the world, which questioned the viability of any meta-narrative to accurately explain reality. When Nietzsche declared, "God is dead," our world was cut loose from its Judeo-Christian moorings to drift aimlessly through space without direction or meaning. The ordered cosmos was no more. There was no common horizon, so everyone's view of reality was based on each person's position or point of view. Consequently, everything became relative, and society was then left with no standards. The world is now in transition, seeking a new meta-narrative, so conflicts abound. This is exacerbated by technology eliminating barriers to communicate and erasing social and political borders. Diverse cultures are thrust together through immigration and globalization. No wonder society is thrashing about in a quest to find meaning and purpose, while it continues to create disillusionment, chaos, and conflict. At the heart of the human quest for meaning is a personal search for love and connection. In a world plagued by universal loneliness, the need for religion is as great as it has ever been. In the words of Jesus, "Seek and ye shall find." But so many of us are looking for love and fulfillment where it cannot be found. The remedy to society's ills may simply be the revival of the age-old cure, religion. As we return to the foundation of the world's religions and the great philosophical ideas, underneath we will find the bedrock of God's love on which they rest. That is the cure to our communal disease. I believe that the purpose of life is to develop our divine capacity to love. Deepening relationships with our spouse, family, and the other people we encounter on our life journey is what life is all about. It is how we will experience more fulfillment during our life and will ultimately influence our eternal destiny. I invite you now to join us as we embark on a journey through history, to retrace humanity's search for meaning, and discover where this pursuit has led us today. Perhaps during this exposition, we may each discover something new about ourselves and our fellow travelers on this quest. As your guide, you should realize that I am a believer. But I'm not so arrogant as to think that I know all the answers. This is an explorative expedition after all. So we all can learn something from each other. So I encourage you to actively participate and share your thoughts and ideas and questions on our comment section, regardless of your perspective or status as a believer or as a skeptic. I encourage this active dialogue, not because I think all beliefs have equal value. I believe that society will progress a lot more by following Mother Teresa than Dan Jones in Ghana, but because I believe different viewpoints allow us to see things from new perspectives. This adds increased depth and meaning to our own beliefs and ideas. It also allows us to see vistas beyond those within our own limited scope of vision. Additionally, in order to facilitate understanding and constructive dialogue between various groups of people, it's essential to understand the perspectives of different belief systems. What is important to followers of one tradition may not matter much to the fans of another. Accordingly, we will introduce you to a variety of worldviews during this journey. We will not delve into the nooks and crannies of every concept entertained by the human race in its search for meaning. Such an endeavor would take many lifetimes. But instead, we will explore the concepts that have endured the test of time and continue to inspire millions of devoted followers to this day. We will review major ideas that informed society and directed its course through history. We will focus primarily on the history of Christian theology, as it is the foundation of Western society, and the world has been adopting Western culture during the modern era. However, we will also explore the diversity found in today's major world religions and belief systems, including Eastern religions, which are generally centered around the cycles of existence. Islam, that stresses the importance of God and human forgetfulness. Judaism, which is founded on God's covenant relationship with his people. Eastern Orthodox Christianity, that focuses on its members' union with God. Of course, Western Christianity, which has been captivated by the issues of sin and redemption since Augustine, with the Roman Catholic tradition placing weight on the obtaining grace through its sacraments, including works of penance, while Protestants rely on free grace. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which emphasizes human growth and development through the exercise of free will and Christ's atonement to become like God. As well as we will examine modern secular beliefs that is based on an evolutionary existential view with reliance on science as the arbiter of truth. And finally, we'll also discuss postmodernism, that is skeptical of any large narrative that professes to explain humanity's role in the world, leading many people to adopt a relativistic view of truth and reality. Of course, each of these worldviews has much greater depth and breadth and nuance than these general summaries, and they all have some efficacy, or else they would not have stood the test of time and resonate with millions of followers. Regardless of whether one is a believer or is a skeptic, this journey will hopefully lead the traveler to 1. Become more aware of the human capacity for spiritual transcendence. 2. To gain a broader world perspective in an increasingly pluralistic society. 3. To enhance our understanding of our Western culture. And then finally, and it's the most important point, to assist each of us in formulating and developing our own personal philosophy of life. In our current entertainment age, with its incessant consumerism, people generally seek titillating tidbits of information to arouse their emotions more than they pursue knowledge to increase understanding. Consumers sacrifice wisdom on the altar of provocative news, thrills, and shallow entertainment, yet they remain hungry for something to fill their empty lives as they frantically whirl around in pursuit of appeasing the god of pleasure, who is never satisfied. In our race for information, we have largely lost our ability to think and reason, to remember what was important yesterday, and to connect the dots to see the consequences of decisions and actions. As a society, we value speed over depth and accuracy. We prefer the excitement of riding rapids more than the substance found in deep water. So once the ride is over, we desperately seek the next thrill to distract us from the hunger pains that annoy us. Historians will likely diagnose our culture as being ill from a societal attention deficit disorder. Hopefully, this channel will provide you with respite from the noise and clutter of a turbulent world, a place where you can ponder the thoughts and ideas that have sustained mankind for millennia. Some of my personal beliefs, of course, will inevitably be expressed in our podcasts. But I am more interested in provoking individuals to think for themselves than in convincing others of the truth of my ideas. Regardless, I hope you find this channel to be informative and increase your understanding of other people and what inspires them to act the way they do. In the end, hopefully, we will all discover more about ourselves. I am Grant Hallstrom on behalf of the Human Quest for Meaning. If you liked this podcast, please subscribe and share this video. Also, my book, The Human Quest for Meaning, is now available on Amazon.